Hello, my name is Brian Stanza and I'm from Q Software. Today what I want to show you is a brief introduction to the Q Cloud, or what we're saying is the easy way to audit your JD Edwards Enterprise One security. So we'll start with a quick overview of the architecture and how this whole thing works. So what does Q Cloud mean to me? Well, today our audit processes in general across all of JD Edwards, not just Q Software, everybody's audit process are very manual. The IT staffs of different companies who need to produce audits, they have to do these things manually, which means they have to create SQL statements, they have to cobble together spreadsheets. It's all a very manual process. Once they've finally cobbled something together, it's given to the auditors. They then review what has been cobbled together, and then questions start popping up. And then the looping begins, a process where they will continue to ask questions. People will go back and continue to tweak and manually generate new things until an audit is finalized. Takes 3 weeks, takes 4 weeks. So what we've embarked to do at Q Software is create an automated process, and we call that Q Cloud. This is a very easy process. Customer logs into our Q Cloud portal. They request an audit. They can then review the audit, and then they can download the reports and view all their information online. This is an overview quickly of our overall architecture. As you see at the top, we have the Q Cloud itself. On the Q Cloud, we have the Q Helper. This is kind of the heavy lifting piece of the software where it is receiving all the data, it's decrypting all the data, it then runs all of our audit analysis and then produces results that are stored in the Q Cloud. If you look in the lower left-hand side, this is a representation of a browser connecting to the Q Cloud portal, where a customer will log in, they will see their results online, they'll see recommendations as to what they need to do to correct any issues that they see from their audit. They can also see history if they have had multiple audits run in the past. And most importantly, as I'll show in my demo real quick, is that they can have the ability to drill into all of their results and check and then make fixes to their Enterprise One security on the fly. On the bottom right here, you can see we have our Q Agent in red. This is the only piece of software that a customer has to install on their enterprise. It is database and platform agnostic to JD Edwards, and what it does once downloaded is it extracts only the authorization security data from the system. No business data is ever touched. This is important. All that authorization data is then encrypted, and then it's transmitted from the agent up to the Q Cloud, where the Q Helper then takes over and gets the job done. Next, really quick on the process, we have a very detailed process for the audits. So once a customer signs up, they are created as a tenant in the Q Cloud. The tenant can perform multiple functions, whether it's administrative or whether it's a user. Once the tenant gets created, they can then start the process of requesting an audit. Then Q Software will approve the audit. Once it's approved, an agent email will be sent out to that tenant with the ability to download our Q Agent. Once that's done and configured, they can then click the button, one quick click, and their audit is requested. The audit data is then transmitted up into the Q Cloud, where then it is processed in just a matter of hours, and then emails are sent back to that tenant so that they can then go through and look at their data, look at the results, and then decide what to do next. And this could be many things. It could be anything from we're great, or we need to do more. We need to correct our security in Enterprise One and request another audit from Q Software. Real quick, this again is a representation of our agent. Once you have that downloaded and running, this is what you see on the screen. It's a very simple process. It shows results of all of the information that's being collected from a security authorization perspective and transmitted up to the Q Cloud and gives you feedback. And we do count record counts from what we're pulling versus what we store up in the cloud. So if an auditor has that question, we answer it right there. This is an example of email communication from the cloud. This one specifically is for the download of the agent to a customer. But we do have various forms of communication coming out from the Q Cloud to the customer once they are in the audit process. So what I'm going to do now is start out with a demo of the software, and you'll be very interested in seeing what the future of security from Q Software brings you. All right, and now time for the demo. What I'm going to do is log in here as one of our demo users so I can show you briefly some of the functionality that the QCloud provides you. Once you've logged in, and I'm represented here as a tenant admin, you can see that I can request new audits. That's right here at the home screen. You'll see here that we'll have various information about the cloud that will come back and forth. We will update this very frequently. But what I really want to show you is some of the meat of what you get when you sign up for the cloud. So the first thing is every time you request an audit, you will always see a process of where you are in your audit. So this one shows a couple different examples. Here's one that's completed, everything's green. Here's one that's been all the way approved and it's in audit right now. And then here's one that's been just opened. The audit was created, it's waiting on approval, and obviously the audit has not even started yet based on colors here. So you always have the ability to see where you are in process. The next thing is the events. Once you do start an audit, you're able to click through and see where you are in the various stage of your audit itself, and it shows kind of a feedback to see how long it takes. Typically, our audits are taking 4 to 8 hours to do based on your data size. So, but once the audit is done and you do receive that email, you can come out here into the QCloud and view the different reports that get produced, including a PDF of the overall audit. Now this PDF, I'm not going to open it right now because I want to get to the more interesting inquiry stuff, but it'll show you all of the 4 sections of our audit, as well as what your risks are and your recommendations for correcting that audit. So those same 4 items that are in the PDF are actually listed here as an interactive way to look at your audit, which is really the power of the portal of the QCloud. So again, those 4 sections are general security, data security, critical master data, and SOD rules. So as an example, I can come in as a user who has requested the audit and see my live data right here in the cloud portal. And some of these metrics are pretty eye-opening. So for example, FastPath in JD Edwards is a very open way to access data and can lead to fraud. So if you look at this right here, it says that there are 10 roles in the system where FastPath is enabled. And okay, great, but what's next? So now the user has the ability to click on that 10 and say, oh, okay, these 10 roles have access to FastPath. And what they can do is they can have their E1 up right next to their QCloud and correct any discrepancies that they see and eliminate the access to FastPath on those roles that really shouldn't have access to FastPath. That's just one example, and you can see if you scroll through, there is a lot of drill down capability in a lot of these metrics for you to go and correct the security as there are errors. And this example audit has quite a big security table itself. 20,000 rows is quite big. Data security, again, same thing. There's a lot of metrics here where you can drill in and get the actual results and correct. Now the real cool thing is once you get to critical master data, and you can see we do this by specific programs in JD Edwards, but the good one, the one that I like the best, is our SOD rules. And these SOD rules are ever expanding. We're going to be rolling out well over 100 rules here in the very near future. If you click on one of these, like for example, creating a journal entry and opening a closed accounting period, that right there smells of fraud. If you open up an accounting period, who knows what you can do, right? So you can see that 25% of all users are violating this specific rule, meaning they can do that task, which is very, very fraud-based. So then you say, well, what do I do? How do I know who's doing it? Well, with the QCloud, you can actually click on the user list in the system who are violating that specific rule. And then you can say, okay, well, I want to click on a user. And what do I do then? Well, you can come in here and see that that user, if they're logging in as star all, has access to all these 4 roles. And oh, by the way, this role is part of star all, and that's actually causing the problem. In this example, they are able to access these 3 applications wide open and this UBE wide open. And it's allowing them to potentially cause fraud in the system. So again, they can use this feedback right next to their E1, correct the data, and then if they wanted, once they've corrected all that data, they can come back to Q Software and ask for another audit to validate that they've corrected everything and that they're good to go. They can then be good to present to the auditors their results. And one last thing that I wanted to show you today was once you do have multiple audits, we do have the ability to show you audit history. So you can come in here once you have several audits and see how things have changed over time. Has your security gotten better? Has it gotten worse? And the Q Cloud architecture and technology allows you to come in here, assess your system, and then act upon it. So that's all I wanted to show you today for this demo. If you have more information, please send us an email at sales@qsoftware.com, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.